Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thanks again so much for joining me here. Let's take another look here at Solana, see what's going on. This is actually performing a lot better than I expected to the downside. While we didn't get that swift recovery to 185 just yet, that is a consideration for a short position, right? Because again, I talked about yesterday how that's a key level resistance based on more recent highs and just how important it is to consider not being overly bullish on this coin just yet. Again, a lot of that hinges on Bitcoin pulling back, but you got to keep in mind too, I mean, with the way that Bitcoin's pulling back and how Solana's tentatively bottoming out here at this 0.5 fib, that 179, 180 mark, is kind of a testament to show that it very much is here to stay. So a lot of money flowing into the coin, that's a good sign. So let's take a look at the charts here and kind of see what's going on first. Starting with liquidation, just to quickly clarify, 175 to 180 is that lower level liquidation. Again, it's just below the more recent low. Okay, we're always going to find stuff like that. It's a very common, very present thing in trading where majority liquidation is going to accumulate at more recent lows or more recent highs. So 175, there's a solid amount of liquidation there, somewhere in the range of 1 or 2 billion. In fact, if we zoom in over here, probably a little easier. This is the monthly. This tells us here we got 800, 840, and about 700. So that's roughly maybe somewhere in the range of about 2 billion in liquidation at about 175. So it's a rough estimate, but that would be a solid area of consideration for a long. I'm thinking 176 to 178 is a good consideration for taking along. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Bitcoin just sweep down to that low 64K mark, just because that's one of the key fib levels we have on the macro. Plus, that's also kind of one of those significant moving averages on larger time frames. So I think we're going to probably see something along those lines, at least one last leg down for Bitcoin, because there's a lot of liquidation just below the price. Okay, that's kind of where we're at there for the back end day. Let's look at the front end here, so to speak, and just kind of clarify a few things. So if you see these arrows on the chart, these are just the areas of interest for me. When I send out my, it's considered trade alerts. When I send out my trade alerts, I kind of specify specific areas that I'm looking at focusing on for entry and exit. So just keep in mind, these trade alerts are here. If you're part of our community and you don't have that enabled, make sure you go up to browse channels and enable show all channels. Discord is kind of weird that way, where it will not show you everything that's available if you've been a member for a while or if you just onboard incorrectly. Either way, okay, so daily time frame, let's quickly look here at the moving averages. No surprise, right? We've been above all moving averages for a while. We're still very bullish. This coin, just because it's pulling back a little bit, does not imply it's going to drop super hard, right? It has in the past, but those were pretty monumental movements from Bitcoin, and I think the likelihood of that's fairly low. Again, never truly know, but this is crypto after all. But generally speaking, it's favorable to not drop super hard because of how well it's responded to the market recently. Again, Solana's money flow index is still very high. That's a good sign. Look at the RSI, stochastic RSI swinging back down, MACD potentially diverging in the future here within the next week or two. So if that happens, we'll bridge that gap together, but for now, we don't have any significant momentous scenarios here letting us know that we should expect a significant retracement. Now again, there is push down here, of course, for the price action, so we do take a look at TD sequential, for example. We're at a 6. Generally speaking, you're going to see 9s are pretty consistent with Solana. So we see a 9 here. What that basically just tells us on the 4-hour time frame is that we've seen 72 hours of continuation in the same direction without retracement. That's why you have 3 white soldiers, 3 black crows. They're candlestick patterns that typically reverse on the 4th day, because of the simple fact that you've been pushing so hard in one direction, it has to turn around. So we see 9s here consistently, right? We're at a 6 right now. Hypothetically, we've got 12 more hours of retracement or consolidation to the downside or sideways. So my anticipation is if in 12 hours from now we are bottomed out, so to speak, or we don't go any further, there's a solid chance the price action is ready to recover at that point. Again, it's just a consistent trend I've noticed with Solana. It's not an exact science by any stretch, but it does have an increased odds of probability. Okay, so having said all of that, and being under 50 on the RSI, it's still not generally a favorable time to just jump into a long position. And I understand the premise there. A lot of people just want to try to buy the dip. You never truly know how low the coins can go, though, at this point. And Solana, while it's still very strong, it is subject to retracement. So Bitcoin's holding at 66,000 for now. If it continues to maintain that level, I think Solana will recover to that 185 mark. So once more, I'm still kind of considering a short at 185. I'm going to look for contributing factors at that point if we get there. But for right now, we can see stochastic tentatively bottoming out, wanting to recover. MACD also tentatively bottoming out. I guess it's hard to say just yet, a little too early. But if we look at the hourly, we can recognize here as well on the hourly time frame that we are still below the cloud. And again, the cloud's averaging itself out right there at 185. So the price does rally back up. Again, that's probably a solid consideration for a short. Again, lagging span, free and clear, conversion line below baseline. There's all reasons to not take a long position right now. If you take a long, you're kind of just taking a long in the blind, right? And again, I get it. You know, some people might say, oh, I see awesome little divergences on the 5-minute chart or the 15-minute chart. But from a swing trader's perspective, it makes no sense to take a long right now. That's all there is to it. Again, day traders find different opportunities. I did that for a while too myself. I prefer not to be stressed out all day and day trade. That's just me personally. So I'm going to wait for a better opportunity to get into a short and or consider a long if the price comes down any lower to that. I mean, I'd prefer 165. We don't always get what we want. That'd be an awesome long. But a secondary consideration, depending on the market and overextension, if we were to say overextended leading into 178, 176, that would probably be a consideration for a long there too. So again, just little things to kind of think about. Last but not least, and this is probably going to reflect similar to Bitcoin's chart, we can see 180. Oh no, actually this is better. And this is where Solana does differ from Bitcoin. The point of control for today, because it's dramatically higher for Bitcoin, it's like at 66,600. We can see 180, 150. That's where we have the most amount of volume purchased here so far in today's trading period. Having said that, we're above that level for the moment, so it does show that the bulls are fighting back. They're trying to control this session. We can close above 180, 150 or higher, then I would say 185 seems like a very logical next step for Solana to recover and continue upwards. I'm hoping that doesn't happen just because I'd love to get in at a lower price point, but we don't always get what we want, right? So at this point, if we do kind of zoom out, in the more recent time frame, ever since we've been in this range, we can see the largest amount of volume, which is right there at the current price point, 182. So I do feel like 182 to 185 will be a solid resistance range for us. So a short anywhere between 182 and 185 seems logical to me, unless of course Bitcoin just rallies and starts, trending right towards 70K for some unknown reason. There's little reason for that to happen this quickly, so keep in mind we should see a slow progression for Bitcoin if it recovers. But for right now, I wouldn't take a trade. We're still kind of in that transition, and I don't like trading in timeframes like this. Again, that's just me personally. I don't like to try to short the bottom, and I don't like to buy the bottom if there's no confirmation it's going to recover, right? We don't really have that yet. So those are my 2 cents. What are your 2 cents? Why don't you comment below, let us know. Before we leave, absolutely hit the like button, comment below if you get a chance. Make sure you join us over with BitUnix, Phenomenal Exchange, link down below for these guys. And of course, check us out over on Twitter, Telegram, Discord. It's been a really cool experience, a lot of fun there. And check that out at your own time. Appreciate you watching though. Either way, thanks again for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.